Hello, and welcome to the Wether-report. Those were the chimes. Now is the time for the Wether-report. A show in which I travelled the length and the breadth of the country, reviewing spoons and awarding them a wooden spoon if you should give it a miss, and a silver spoon if you should put it on your hit list. This week's pub we will be reviewing is Stanford House in Huntingdon. But before we kick off, I did mention last week Claire with an I. Now, some of you may have taken that as she only has an I. I was talking about the letter I. And you may have thought I'd been mocking her, as she only had one eye. Of course, there's nothing wrong with having one eye. You can make eye patches look very fashionable these days. Just look at Gabrielle, famous for singing Dreams Can Come True. And I'm sure there were some natty-looking pirates, but yes, I was only talking about Claire with an I, the letter I. With me, as always, is my co-host Pepsi. For those of you who don't know, Pepsi is a Jack Russell who has no opinions on Wetherspoons. The only opinions he does have are on when the neighbours walk past the house and pigeons. But he is the pen to my teller, or whichever one was the silent one, that is Pepsi. Right, now let's kick off with Wetherspoons in the news. The big news being that 12th of September will be now known as Tax Equality Day, where Wetherspoons are now going to cut all food and drink prices by 7.5% to highlight the tax disparity, VAT disparity between pubs and supermarkets. So for one day you can get down to Wetherspoons and get yourself even more of a bargain. But this does only apply to England and Wales. Scotland, due to licensing laws, they can't offer it on alcoholic beverages, but still is available on food and non-alcoholic beverages. So still get yourself more of a bargain in Scotland, but just not on alcohol. So if you did want to get blotto that day, you're paying full price, I'm afraid. In other news, there are 8 further pubs at risk of closing. The 2 up for sale are the Ivor Davies, Cardiff, the Bankhouse, Cheltenham, and 6 Wetherspoon branches that are currently under offer are the Sir Daniel Arms, Swindon, the Hale Line, St Ives, I think that might be Cornwall, St Ives, the Foot of the Wall, Leith, London and Rye, London, the Quay, Poole, Thomas, Drummond in Fleetwood. These pubs are all up for sale and currently under offer. Are you affected by any of these closures? Please let me know and email me at perrysOldSpooners@hotmail.com. Now, speaking of closures, some of you may remember from last week I mentioned the Knights Templar, a pub in which you could get married, and I joked I could hold my second marriage there if I was ever to find someone else. Hopefully this time she wouldn't leave my heart fly-tipped at the side of the road. Now, this part, the Knights Templar, has also closed, so scuppered that idea for a second marriage venue. We hold tight on the idea of a second marriage. There also have been a number of openings, which include Waterloo and Fulham Broadway stations in London, and in Marlow, Buckinghamshire, is also planned for the coming months, which is fantastic, more for us to visit in the coming months and years. They have also opened their first pub at Holiday Park in a haven in Primrose Valley in Filey, North Yorkshire. Now, I am not a fan of caravan park holidays, but this is piqued my interest, and I will very much look forward to reviewing this Wetherspoons. Have you been to Haven Primrose Valley? Let me know. What is the spoons there like? What is the accommodation like? Now, on to the review. So we're going to start by having a look at the reviews other people have left for Stanford House in Huntingdon. Generally favourable. On TripAdvisor, it had overall 4 stars, which is fantastic. I don't think there's a single business out there that has 5 stars. And if you do find one, let me know. I'd love to read them. And also on Google reviews, they got a fantastic 4.3. You have to go back all the way to March 2024 to find a bad review. So they've had a good run. That wasn't a little nod that there was going to be a bad review. Stay tuned, see what I find out though. One of the more notable reviews is by Anonymous. Not the group Anonymous, just an anonymous reviewer. He quotes it as being a good spoons, similar to a lot of other spoons, cosy, small cosy gallery accessed by narrow staircase. Staff were very friendly and was an excellent choice of beer, which differs to Kevin S.'s review, which he states that there was a poor beer selection compared to other spoons in the region. Now, I feel that Kevin might be a card-carrying member of the Monster Looney Real Ale Society, or to give it its official title, Campaign for Real Ale Camera. As I never struggle to find anything to drink in the Wetherspoons, and I find Shipyard particularly delightful. Now, I am not one for conspiracies, but there is a pair of TripAdvisor reviews which I think they have performed some kind of pincer move to attack the spoons, both leaving a 1-star review and having similar gripes. Go have a look for yourself. It's a little bit too much to get into on here. They are from Mason P and Mike 2683. Mike, you might not want to make it so obvious that you've used your date of birth as a handle there. I am guessing you were born on the 2nd of June 83. Or Mike, if you're American, 6th of February 83. Now, the final review is a one from Jake. And Jake says, awful service tonight and wasn't exactly busy. Going to avoid from now on. Now, why is Jake allowing one bad experience? It might be a continued bad experience, but he hasn't said that in the review. If you're listening to Jake and you have been to Stanford House and left a 1-star review, please let us know. Was it a continued bad experience or was it just that one particular incident? In which case I think you should possibly give it a second go. I think if you have a bad time, you should go back and give it a second chance. And if the problem persists, then avoid said premises. Or possibly launch formal procedures with their head office or the management of the pub. Go direct, and maybe they will be able to address your concerns head on. Now, having read all the reviews, I was looking forward to my visit to Stanford House. There was no mention of bad toilets, so I was keen to get in and explore. So let's get on with the review, shall we? I arrived in Huntingdon. It was market day. It was a sunny day. I found Huntingdon to be a pleasant enough place, not hugely busy. The busiest areas being around the supermarket, Sainsbury's, M&S and B&M. The market I found a little sparse. Now, fun fact, I was struggling to spell sparse earlier today and then realised it was spelled exactly as it sounds. Sparse. 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 or as our American cousins would say, spas. Spas. I did find a little stall selling homebrews. I didn't get their name, but they were very enjoyable. I realised too late that I could get the name from the bottles, but unfortunately they had gone out with the recycling. The crash of shame when you throw the bottles from the night before into the recycling. I will return and get some more and then give them a shout out then, because they were fantastic. They were lovely. So if you're in the area and you do see a stall selling beer, buy some. They were really nice. There was the Cromwell Museum, which frankly didn't interest me at all. There was the Falcon Tavern, which looked to be fantastic. Plenty of real ales and seemed lively for still so early in the day. Stanford House itself was a little walk from the town centre. Stanford House is built on the site of the original Huntingdon Theatre, a chapel dating back to 1848, and was the home of Victorian industrialist Charles Sanford Windover. More recently, uses include the town's post office and furniture retails. It did appear to be two buildings adjoined by an annex. It is a hotel, Spoons. I didn't stay, but it will cost you somewhere from around £75 to £100 depending on the room. From the photos of the room, it did look pleasant enough. What you'd expect for that price point. In the pictures, the showers did look rather good. Hopefully the water pressure is up to scratch. There's nothing worse, is there, than a shower with asthma. Have you stayed at Stanford House? Let me know. Let me know your thoughts. Now, when I arrived, it was early lunch, which I thought would mean finding a table would be a struggle. I arrived and found it quite sparse. I sat in the main bar area, and when I went to the toilets, I discovered that there were other areas of the pub with plenty of people, so it was a lot busier than I thought. Not everyone in one area, as was the case with the Corn Exchange in Bury, the one I reviewed last week. So Sanford definitely felt more pubby, with plenty of nooks and crannies for you to hide in. I found a table which was clean and not sticky. I ordered from the bar this time and had a pint of Shipyard. It was very nice. My meal was the spicy half chicken. It came out in about 7 minutes, which was fantastic. Now, I did seem to have a thirst on this day, as I had finished my first pint before my lunch arrived. I used the app to order another pint to avoid missing the arrival of my lunch. Now, the meal itself, I had ordered the hot and spicy chicken, which is the Wetherspoon's Nando's Peri Peri chicken. I was trying to be healthy, but ended up saying chips rather than rice or salad. The chicken itself was piping hot, and the chips were a good temperature too, which is unlike the Corn Exchange, an issue we had last week. Now, my issue did arise with the chicken itself. It seemed like it had been beaten up, as all the bones were broken, making it difficult to eat, as I was worried I was going to choke on a bone. One plus side of this being I did chew my food properly for once, instead of my usual 4-pump swallow, as Claire with an eye took great pleasure in pointing out to me. The naga sauce was spicy, not too spicy, you could handle it. It was just the right amount of spice. Apart from the bone issue, I did enjoy my meal. Maybe not the coleslaw, as it was a little bit more cold than slaw. But now, I'm just nitpicking. Who actually eats the coleslaw? If coleslaw was to disappear from the earth, would you miss it? It's not potato salad now, is it? The heat from the Wetherspoons Nando's had led me to finish my pint, and a third was on its way. I knew that it probably should be my last, because Perry could end up Perry, Merry. Now, I had finished my lunch, and it was time to inspect the toilets. They were cleaned, and all seemed functional. Again, I was confused by the signage and headed for the women's. At this point, I'm starting to think this is my problem and not Wetherspoons, but could be sparse signage. Now, time for the scores. Now, cleanliness, I cannot complain. It was very clean. Tables were cleared very quickly. No dirty glasses lasted long on a table. Now, speed of service, again, it was sub 10 minutes. Food arrived in 7 minutes, very quick. Staff were very efficient and well organised. They were functional, friendly to time to the toilet. It was under a minute again. It was not very far at all. Toilet cleanliness, very clean, and the check sheet was up to date. Food arrived hot, fresh, tasty. Apart from the broken bones, it was all very good. Quality of drink was fantastic. My pint of Shipyard was so good, I had 3 of them. Now, value. My dinner was $12.36 with a drink. Pint of Shipyard was $2.99, so $9.36. $9.37 for chicken and chips. I feel it was good value. If I'd had a higher value pint, it would have been even better value, but today I really fancied a Shipyard. The ale selection was good, definitely not sparse. 7 ales on hand pumps, all under £2. The usual suspects, Green King IPA, Abbott Ale and Doombar, and then plus 4 guest ales, which all looked good. Cheapest pint being Green King IPA, again at £1.79, Bud Light at £2.48. Now, even at that price, you couldn't make me drink it. You could get a Gordon's and tonic for £2.10 for a single. Ciders, Stowford was £2.10 and Strongbow was £2.25. Now, I'm surprised at this because I thought Stowford Press would be the more premium cider as it is better tasting. Now, something I did want to dive into was the 3 for £5.90 deals. As you can get 3 cans of Goose IPA, and that works out just a little bit over a litre of beer, which is 1.8 pints. So that's roughly £2.80 a pint, which I think is great for this particular craft beer. Also, for £5.90, you can get 2 large glasses of wine. That's the lion's share of a bottle of wine in a pub for £5.90. Absolute fantastic value. Now, Stanford House very much lived up to the great reviews and proves some of the bad ones wrong. I'm looking at you, Kevin S. So I am awarding Stanford House a silver spoon on this occasion. Some of you may remember last week we had to award the Corn Exchange and Berry a wooden spoon. So we've got our first silver spoon pub. So this is fantastic. Now I'm just wondering if I can get some copyright-free triumphant music to play and edit it in here. Now, have you been to Stanford's House? What did you think? Email, let me know. perrysOldSpooners@hotmail.com, and you can become a POS. Now for lettuce spoons. Now, I feel like some of you may be wondering why it's called lettuce spoons. Originally, I just wanted to replace the W in Wetherspoons with an L, but it actually just created the word Leatherspoons, which sounds like something people who are into bondage would use to eat their cereal with. We had no emails this week, but it's still early days. So I've been looking through the latest couple of issues of the Wetherspoons news and found a few articles that caught my fancy. The first one being a pub with a view from the toilet. Now, the view isn't while you're sitting down, it's while you're washing hands. Those of you who don't, I know who you are, but those of you who do practice good basic hygiene, you will be treated to a fantastic view from the window of the Reed Arms, Burnham-on-Sea in Somerset. You can see right into the Bristol Channel and maybe even Cork on a very clear day. Another one is about Peter, an Oldham fan who has now stayed in all Wetherspoons hotels and has visited 923 pubs. Pete says that counting spoons makes life a great adventure. I'm sure it beats counting actual spoons, Pete. Then we have Neil Kay, a Bradford City fan who has racked up an impressive 778 spoons, most of those while watching Bradford City on away days. Neil is a retired nurse, and I don't think he'll mind me saying he isn't what I imagine when I hear the term nurse. I imagine more of the Barbara Windsor type. I have a long way to go to catch up to Neil and Pete, but I'll get there. Then we have Elaine and Aid, a couple who have racked up 500 Wetherspoons during the last 100 in the last year. Fantastic stuff. See how Wetherspoons is keeping their relationship fresh and interesting, but some people just won't give it a try. They're just more interested in going to Rome and Venice. I mean, Wetherspoons do pizza. Then finally there is Peter D, who has now hit the 500 pubs threshold. Well done, Pete. Now, if you're a Wetherspoons superfan, please drop me an email at perrysoldspodooners@hotmail.com. I'd love to hear from any superfan. Once I've got to grips with everything, I would love to interview one of you. Talk about your motivations, how you keep yourself going, and what you love about spoons so much. Also, the email is open to all. perrysoldspodooners@hotmail.com. Email in. Just say hi, your local spoons. Are you affected by any of the closures I mentioned at the top of the show? What celeb would you like to take to a spoons? Which spoons would you like to take them to? What drink would you buy them? Or them buy you, as they're the bloody celeb? And your favourite dish? Also, what dishes would you like to bring back? Me, personally? I miss the ribs, but more on that next week. Because, alas, our time has come to spoon. I'll talk to you next time. Good night, and remember, wherever you go, always take the weather. Spoons. Pepsi, we're doing some awful trumps all the way through there.